Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Rita. This is my channel 10 Red Lipsticks, and today we're going to do the Eyeshadow Palette Tag 2024. So this is a tag created by Samantha March. I will link her video down below. She's done at least 2 other iterations of this tag on previous years, which I've done in the past. Actually, my first ever YouTube video was the first one, so I thought it only right to do the next one. I love talking about my eyeshadow palette collection, so I'm very happy to when any of these come up. Will I be repeating any from previous years? Probably 1 or 2, but you know, a good travel palette is a good travel palette and whatever. So Samantha had 12 questions listed under her video, but I think in her video she actually has 13. So I'm doing all 13 of those, and we're just going to talk about some individual eyeshadow palettes. For one, I have 3 because the nature of the question, but so I guess would that make it that we're talking about 15 palettes today? So yeah, it should be fun. If you like just kind of seeing eyeshadow, then I'm sure you'll enjoy this. Loads of these are no longer available. I'm not trying to encourage anybody to buy any of these palettes except maybe one, which I will specify why I think certain people should buy it. But other than that, this isn't about buying, this is about enjoying what we have and thinking about our collections. And whether you've got 2 eyeshadow palettes or 200, I'm sure you've got palettes that you can answer some of these questions with, like an eyeshadow palette that sparks joy is one of the questions, which I think is really nice. So yeah, I will link Samantha's original video down below, and her channel. Obviously she does lots of different types of makeup videos, including reviewing new makeup, which isn't really something that I do, and I'm sure lots of you have heard of her before. She used to do a lot of will I buy it videos. She doesn't do them as often anymore, but yeah, so I'll link that down below if you want to go check out her video. But let's get into the questions. So the first question in the tag is your newest palette. So for this it was hard to answer because I got 3, literally 3 for 2 in a deal. For Christmas I got 3 of the YSL Quads. I got 100 Stora Dolls, 400 Babylon Roses, and 500 Medina Glow, I think is what they're called. I think if you're charging €59 for a palette, you can put the name as well as the number on the back of it, but whatever. So Stora Dolls is this neutral cool tone one. Obviously high-end quad has to have the silly little, what are they called? Sponge tip applicators. Babylon Roses, this colour story I was so excited about. And Medina Glow. So Medina Glow is like the one I got for free because it was 3 for 2 at Boots. And it's like warm toned but pinky reddy, which very much up my alley. So I have used Babylon Roses. I've swatched all of them. I haven't used the other 2 yet because I only got them for Christmas, and they only arrived on New Year's Eve, I think. So I haven't used them all that much yet, so they're not favourites yet or anything like that, but they are my newest palettes and I'm very excited to have them. And I wasn't that impressed with the idea of the packaging, but it's actually really fun. I really like it. I was like, whatever, that's kind of silly, and I'm not like, ooh, a YSL leatherette thing. Like, this isn't real leather, obviously. That's amazing. No, but it's super fun that it's squishy, and I kind of thought they'd be like really bulky because of that, but they're actually not that bad at all. Like they could be a little smaller, but the thing that makes them bulky is the applicators, not the 3D little effect there, which I think is actually really nice. Like, I was kind of worried I wouldn't be able to store them with the rest of my eyeshadow quads, but I am, which is very, very nice for me. When you've got a lot of palettes, you know what I'm talking about. It gets very frustrating when they are weird shapes. Speaking of, on to question 2, a favourite release of 2024. So I do not like the packaging of this, but other than that, it's perfect. So this is the Kiko Milano Gloss Supreme Gloss Dome Multi-Finish Eyeshadow Palette in 01 Over Earth Reflection. So they had 2 colourways with this release, and this was the first one. And this colour story is just like picked from my mind. We've got a bunch of neutrals and then we've got purples, and I love neutrals. I love a bit of colour, but definitely pinks and purples are where I'm more comfortable with colour. As I say, as I'm wearing like a bold, well, not bold because I've no depth whatsoever, that's my style, but you know, a bright colourful eye today. But like, this is a palette that I could very, very happily, you know, wear all week, and I would be happy going to work in it. I'd be happy going to more, you know, toned down occasions. Even wearing the purple, you know, I absolutely love it. And the formula of these shimmers is just divine. They are extremely sparkly and shiny and just absolutely beautiful. And I think Kiko did an excellent job. Like, I don't feel I'm really capturing how much kind of bitty sparkliness there is. Like, to be honest, like the like topper shades in the YSL, like loads of sparkly goodness. So there's YSL and there's Kiko. If I turn down my lights, you might be able to see it better, but if I turn down my lights, you won't be able to see me, and it took me long enough to set them up. The sun is setting. It's winter, you know. We work with what we can get. So the only things I don't like about this palette are generally the packaging, that it won't stand still. Now, if you stand it up this way, it's a bit flat around the, like, it's not a circle, it's like an oblong thing, and it is a little bit of flatness here, which is good, but I've been storing it just upright. And then the other thing in terms of the packaging that I don't like is the shape of the pans. Like, I was thinking, because generally with drugstore makeup, smaller quantities are part of how they keep the price down. So I was thinking these shades probably aren't that big, that maybe this would be a fun palette to try and hit a pan in. And then I was like, it's probably going to be quite frustrating given the shape of the pans, like especially these ones that go into like the little tiny tip, like the big circle ones, and even these big ones probably not too bad, but the ones that kind of, the little segments with the pointy tips, I think those would be quite frustrating to use over and over again. Now, I've used every shade in this palette. I really enjoy it. And I think it is reduced on their website right now. So that was my favourite release of 2024 that I got. And I'm really happy I got it. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And it performs really well and looks really special. So, wasn't the cheapest by any means. Like, Kiko is an affordable brand, but it's not that affordable, you know, the way everything is going. Excuse me. But it is reduced now. I think it's like half off on the Kiko website at the moment. So very good. So next is the question that Samantha said in the video but didn't write in the list under her video. A palette that you have hit pan in. So I thought I'd talk about one of the palettes that I hit pan in this year. I have hit pan in 4 different palettes this year, or in 2024, because I was doing Project Level Up and I got to level 4. I didn't complete it, but I got to level 4. But I thought we'd take a look back at the first pan that I hit in 2024, which was the Beauty Bay Neutral 42 colour palette. And I hit pan in the shade Doll. I hope you can see, because obviously it's a light shade. It's like a light silvery shade, so it's quite similar colour to the pan. Not exactly the same though, I think you can see it. Yeah, Beauty Bay is an easy formula to hit pan in. So I deliberately picked this palette to do that, and I would love to hit another couple of pans in here. I just love this colour story. As I said, you know, neutrals, pinks and purples are my jam, and that's what this palette is. And I really do like the formula. There's some variation in the formula in the shimmers, and some of them that are like Doll that I hit pan in, Sparrow, I'd love to hit pan in that one. Those are a formula that I really like. And then you've got kind of, I'm swatching over other swatches, so it's not going to work. That's Sparrow. Let me swatch the one I actually hit pan in. There's Doll, which is what I hit pan in. And I definitely, with my Project Level Up and the success, like, this is the best eyeshadow panning year I've ever had. I learned that, you know, a lighter shimmer is the easiest type of shade for me to hit pan in, because I'm happy to use it all over the lid, I'm happy to use it on the inner corner, on the inner lid, and it's something that I can just consistently use like days in a row. Whereas even a you know, neutral crease shade that I'm using over a large portion of my eye, if it skews warm tone or it skews cool tone, I just can't wear it every day, because now obviously that's very cool tone, I wasn't going to wear it with the most warm tone mattes or anything like that. But even that is something people are more likely to do than use like a matte that's the wrong colour along with a look that goes another way. So anyway, light shimmers are the key to success for me in terms of panning eyeshadow, and I'm really happy that I started my year out in 2024 with success hitting that pan. I don't know if it was in the month of January. I was, because it was Project Level Up, I had to no pan left behind the palette as well, which definitely took until February, but I might have hit that pan in January, I can't remember, but it was the start of the year and it gave me a huge boost and encouraged me to continue the project, and then it was so successful. So very, very pleased that I hit that pan in 2024. Next up, a palette you didn't expect to love. So this year I bought 3 new mini Natasha Denona palettes, and I actually had a few more decluttered to me by Ruth. And one of the ones that I bought for myself was the mini biba, which obviously I expected to like because I bought it and I thought this colour story was just beautiful warm neutrals. But I love it. I love it so much, and I like warm neutrals, but generally cool neutrals are my preference. But this shimmer and these mattes and this cream to powder dark shade at the end here, they're just fabulous, like absolutely fabulous. Really just something special, and I just didn't expect to love a palette with only one shimmer, but the shimmer is so good. Like, it's a lighter toned shimmer that works all over the lid, it works in the inner corner, and it feels special even though it's not like the most sparkly thing or whatever. So I expected to like this palette, but I did not expect to fall head over heels in love with it the way that I did, and I'm so pleased that I picked it up. I saw it in store in Sephora in the Czech Republic, and that is where I got it when we were on holidays in February last year. Next up, favourite collab palette. So I thought about some of my palettes that are collabs with influencers, but I also thought of my palettes that are collabs with IP, intellectual property, and I didn't buy any new collab palettes this year that I know of. I was tempted by the Catrice or Essence Up palettes, might be Essence, and then the Catrice Finding Dora palettes. I was tempted by those, but they weren't available in Ireland. And then Cosmetic for Less seems to not be a website anymore, and I could find them online eventually, but then I decided against it. I had a low buy rule this year about how many palettes I was buying, etc. So I decided against it. So maybe those are amazing, maybe they're terrible, I've no idea. But previous iterations of Disney with Catrice and Essence have really been something that I've just absolutely adored. And I had as one of my Project Level Up palettes the the Essence Bambi palette, which is actually called Friends Till the End. So this was their Disney Classics line, and I wound up hitting £3 in this palette, here, here, and here, and I just love it. Like, the combination of the blues, actually it looks like it could be what I'm wearing today. I'm wearing Sydney Grace singles today, but totally these colours. The combination of the kind of half colourful, half neutral, and the neutrals in here are really rosy. They are gorgeous. These two are very cool toned, rosy, absolute perfection. And then you've got these warmer tones that are just like rose goldy perfection, just absolutely beautiful. It's so wearable. Obviously I have like quite a rosy undertone. Geez, the shadows are shadowing today, but whatever. I've got quite a rosy undertone and it just works for me so well. I find it very easy to use, really fun, nice formula of like impactful shimmers and really easy blendable mattes. Absolutely love it, and obviously the theming is a bit of fun, so I think they did a great job with that one. I don't like this outer colour, but other than that, like, I love the picture of Bambi, and the wheat spots here are cool and not my ideal, but I wish the colour was different is literally my only thing I would change about that palette. Next up, PR/gifted palette. Now, I don't get PR. I haven't been gifted anything by any brands, but I've decided to interpret this as a gift with purchase because I got an amazing gift with purchase this year, which is Sydney Grace. They actually have brought this palette back, but with different shades. But last year they had a deal where if you spent a certain amount, you got the palette for free. This is their 54 pan of singles. So these shades are from discontinued palettes, so they're not marked, like they don't have names. And obviously it's not a palette in terms of like a specifically curated color story, but it is amazing. I know Pan Left Behind did this. I'm not sure about the tenses there. Don't know what's going on. There was a black here. I've decided to declutter that shade, but the rest of it is staying with me for now. All of the colourful shades, obviously loads of fun. All the neutrals, amazing. The Sydney Grace formula is excellent. I'm wearing shades today, not from this palette, but just singles that I bought. Probably the singles that I bought in order to qualify for this gift with purchase. Their formula is lovely, extremely smooth shimmers, like not so much sparkly, very smooth, really easy to work with, really good quality, and they have a great shade selection. Like they have some beautiful cool tones if you're on the market for cool tones. So yeah, an amazing opportunity. It took a chunk out of my low buy budget, but I am very, very happy to have, you know, got this one palette or these 53 now singles, whichever way you look at it. And I am planning to label the backs of all the singles like 1 to 53 so that I can, and I have pulled them out into BYOPs already, but so that I feel happier to do that, and then I can still put them back the way they were originally. I don't know why, but that's something I want to be able to do. So really happy with that, and kind of an amazing opportunity. Like, it's not the most normal thing that you get eyeshadow as a free gift with purchase. Like, it's more normal that you get like lipstick samples or whatever, or perfume samples, but yeah, I just had to jump on that opportunity when it came up, and I'm so pleased that I did. So next up, a palette you don't love but won't declutter. So don't hate me, but it's the Viseart Minxette Étendu. So I don't love this. I knew I wouldn't love it when I bought it because it is a very warm toned palette. Literally, when Viseart was promoting this, they were like, it's all warm tones. That's how it is, because they do a lot of cool tones. I bought this because it was on sale on Beauty Bay. It was like half off. And these shades are not exactly my jam, but they're very usable. So like this I wouldn't necessarily be going for very frequently, but they're magnetic pans. I can pull them out, and I have labelled all of these with my little label maker. Can I make that focus? No. So it says Minxette, which is the name of the palette, and then Pesh 2, which is the name of the shade, because I have other Viseart Étendu and Viseart Petits palettes, which have the same size pans, so I can swap them in and out, and I can swap them in and out into BYOPs and whatever. I will not declutter this because I basically view this as a collection of singles and I want to keep them. Viseart's quality is just through the roof, absolutely incredible. This wasn't the colour story for me, but I bought it knowing it wasn't the colour story for me because unlike lots of other palettes, like say the Beauty Bay, I can't just easily, like I could destroy the packaging and whatever and remove the pans, and then take the glue off them and then put a sticker on them and then with a little magnet on it and all of that. But it's a huge rigmarole to be able to swap those shades out. I knew this colour story wasn't for me, but I wanted this quality of eyeshadow, and I got it on a great deal, and I'm able to swap these out with other eyeshadows. So I will not be decluttering this, even though I don't love it. Another reason I don't love it, I think I've talked about this before, is the packaging. Like I said with the weed spots in the Bambi palette, I just really don't like animal print. It is not appealing to me, and I love this colour. I wish it was just plain. But yeah, not a colour story for me, not a colour story I love, but a formula I love and colours that I will use from time to time mixed in with other palettes. So very happy to have it. Absolutely will not be decluttering it, even though I don't love that palette as a whole. But I'm sure if you love warm tones, you would love that palette as a whole. Sticking on the Viseart train, would repurchase if lost. The Viseart Lilas Petit 4. This is the best cool tone quad. This is the best one in the world. Obviously, you don't have anywhere to go in terms of depth. I don't generally add depth to my looks, so that's fine. But if you wanted to, you could pop out one of these shades and you can pop in a shade. For example, even with this very warm toned palette, we've got this deep, now it's like a satiny kind of purple. You could totally add that in with any three of the shades from the Viseart. So we have two shimmers, a lighter one and a more medium one. And then we have two mattes, a more pinky one and a more grey one. As is my perfect palette. I absolutely love it. But if you wanted depth to keep any three of these and add in this purple or any other shade you've got from another, any other deep shade you've got from another Viseart, Étendu or Petit 4, you can customize it. And I am very much into this color story and into the idea of like using these four as a base to create a 12 pan build your own palette with one of my other Viseart Étendus. So like maybe using that purple from here, using some of my Violette Étendu shades, etc. So I would repurchase this. It is currently available on Beauty Bay, I believe. It, last time I checked, is not on the Viseart site. I desperately hope they will bring it back. It could just be out of stock because of they had a big Christmas sale and they had a big Black Friday sale. So hopefully it'll be back up soon. I would go to the ends of the earth to repurchase this palette if I lost it, because it is perfect, absolutely perfect. I love it, absolutely love it. Like the YSL, I'm really happy to have it and all that, but I rank this higher than that. I rank this higher than Rowan, then Charlotte Tilbury, then loads of my other beautiful quads that I've got. So that is the palette that I would recommend you purchase if you are interested in cool tone mini palettes, because it's just so good. And that's the only one in the whole video that I would recommend putting on your wish list if that is your vibe, because it is high enough quality that I think pretty much everyone would enjoy it. Anywho, next up, my most travelled with palette. So I don't really have a most travelled with of 2024 palette, because I was doing a no pan left behind, trying to use every pan of eyeshadow in my entire collection in 2024. Sorry, I think I said 2025 before. In the year 2024, I did not fully succeed with that, but I was like very conscientiously getting through palettes, so I wasn't bringing the same palette on multiple trips. But over the years, I would say my most travelled with palette is my Charlotte Tilbury Instant Look in a palette in Stoned Rose Beauty. For some reason, she doesn't do this format anymore. Please bring them back. Please bring them back. So it's 3 eyeshadows, 2 blushes, a highlighter and a bronzer. They did the last iteration of these palettes. They had a blush, a highlighter, and a face powder and a bronzer to make them even more, you know, compact, travel friendly, giving you everything you need. So I would love if they did them again, for them to do them in that format. And I would definitely, you know, this is kind of my perfect warm neutrals version. If they did like a rosy version, if they did a cool neutral version, I would buy those. It was expensive. I got it at a huge discount. It was like 75% off. It was crazy. Very random, on like one of the, it was like House of Fraser or something, one of the British department store websites, because Glam by Sam posted about it on our Instagram story. And I'm so pleased. It is just the perfect travel palette. It has almost everything you need. With my No Pan Left Behind this year, I brought some of my individually potted singles to use as like toppers over this. Not that you need them, like these shades are beautiful. They are a bit more satiny than like intense shimmers. But yeah, the packaging is like really high quality plastic. Like it just feels much more secure than some other palettes. Let me see, can I find it now? I had a very unfortunate incident. My Essence Dancing Green palette has snapped off here because it's totally my fault. Like, don't leave your makeup outside in your car when the temperatures are below freezing. But my makeup bag was in my work bag in the car, and then I brought it in and I was using it, and I opened this and then it just came off. So the whole thing just came off, which is so upsetting because this is a great little palette. But anyway, this plastic never felt like the world's best quality. This feels really good quality. So that's another important feature of a travel palette. And then of course a really good mirror. This mirror goes all the way to the edges and is very usable, high quality, and it stands up on its own. So yeah, I love this. This is my most used travel palette in my whole collection over the years. This year I did have to use other palettes because we were on a time crunch to get through those pans. So hopefully I've nothing planned so far this year, but hopefully I'll get to go away at some stage and this will get another trip under its belt. Next up, my first used palette of 2024. This is also a Charlotte Tilbury palette. So this is one of her quads. My mother-in-law decluttered this to me while we were visiting her last Christmas. So then, I don't know if it was New Year's Day or the 2nd or something, we were going out for lunch and I wore this. It is the Uptown Girl luxury palette, color-coded eyeshadows. That's what it says on the back. So again, it's the really high quality plastic. This is the cool toned, like grey taupe palette from Charlotte Tilbury. It has a beautiful topper shade, really gorgeous. And again, it has the really good mirror. It stands up on its own. Love the format. I would be very interested in trying the Pillow Talk quad. I would be very interested in trying the Exaggerize, I think it's called, quad. And I know there's even one or two over the years that have had baked shades in them. That is something I have my ears pricked for, if there's a new release, if there are any baked shades in there. So yeah, really like it. Like the quality, love the topper shade formula. This colour story is a bit too grey. Like with the Viseart, you've got a bit of pink in there, whereas this is just very grey. So not my favourite version of a cool toned neutral. Really nice, really like it and happy to have it. And I will be using it again, but not my favourite. And, you know, I didn't buy this colour story. It was decluttered to me. So that makes complete sense. But I had completely forgotten what my first used palette of 2024 was, and it was nice to think of that memory of going out for lunch with my mother-in-law, which was really nice. A palette that sparks joy. So all of them, my entire collection sparks joy. I love my palettes. They make me so happy. But I decided to go with one where the cover art kind of makes me smile. And this is the Catrice from the same Disney Classics collection as with the Bambi palette, Lady and the Tramp palette. I love Lady and the Tramp. It was the first VHS tape that we ever owned, my family, and we had that before we had a video player, and we would bring it when we were going to see my dad's parents, or my parents were going to hang out with their friends or whatever, and they were bringing me, if they had a tape player, they'd bring it and I would watch it at that person's house. So it is a beloved film of my youth. And this palette is called 020 True Love. I love the cover art, lady looking fabulous. And it's just a warm tone neutral palette. But you've got a bit more variety here. You've got some yellows. I love having yellows in a warm tone neutral palette because it just means you can do something a bit more interesting. And I love like a yellow inner corner, for example. And we've got some kind of reddy tones. And then we've got lots of like truly neutral tones. So I don't love this. It doesn't spark joy for the eyeshadows, though they're good and I like them. It sparks joy for the theme and the cover. So yeah. But it sparks joy nonetheless. Next up, a palette that you keep for the memories. So I've actually got like a whole little basket of palettes that I'm really only keeping for the memories. They're not kind of still in my active collection. But this one is still in my active collection. This is the Laura Geller Woman of the Hour Baked Eyeshadow Palette. And we've got some beautiful neutral shades here. If you have a keen eye, you might be able to tell we've only 1, 2, 3, 4 matte shades. So it's slightly imbalanced. You know, it could really definitely do with another deep matte shade. I'd say it needs 2 more matte shades, a deeper one included. But I used this actually twice in December and I really liked it. But the reason that I have special memories tied to this palette is that this is the palette that I used to do my mother's makeup on my wedding day, because my mom doesn't wear makeup. She doesn't like people touching her, like she doesn't like getting her hair done or anything like that. So I knew she wouldn't want to use the professional makeup artist. So I did her makeup, obviously not as well as a professional makeup artist would do, but did my best. And I did just a lighter amount of makeup because that would suit her style much more. And I used this because I knew that baked shades were good for textured eyelids. Packaging wise, I really wish we didn't have this whole like inch of wasted space down here. And this mirror does not go all the way to the edges. This mirror is smaller than the mirror on the little tiny Charlotte Tilbury palette. So like, that's ridiculous. That's such a waste of space and really irritates me. If you're going to put a mirror in, make it usable. Laura Geller loves to put in tiny weird mirrors. I don't know if you've seen on her blushes. Let me go find you one. So yeah, here's one of her baked blushes in Fruit Punch. And you might think, what are you talking about? That doesn't have a mirror. It has a tiny mirror. It has a tiny mirror at the top, which like I could see being useful for maybe lipstick or maybe like brows or mascara or something, but I cannot see this tiny mirror ever being useful for blush. Like I have to like hold it far away and sideways to be able to see like most of my cheek. It's not even all of my cheek. Like you're not applying this blush and using this mirror to know what you're doing. So it's a bit odd. So she likes a small mirror. I would question that, but I really love the formula. I like the colour story. It's very neutral and it skews lighter. Could do with a deeper matte, but the primary reason that I keep this palette is for that lovely memory of my mum letting me do her makeup for my wedding day, which was really, really nice. We all just got to get ready together in me and Adam's hotel room, and he was there. We didn't get ready separately or anything, so it was all my bridesmaids sitting around, mostly doing their own makeup and hair, some of them getting their hair and makeup done, me and my sister getting our hair and makeup done, and me doing my mom's makeup, and we're all hanging out together. So it's a really special memory, and it was a great palette. It worked really well. Next up, an underrated palette. So I think there are a lot of underrated palettes, but I just heard this palette not get hate, but like be kind of dismissed in a video recently, so I thought I would mention it. This is the Nabla Read My Mind palette. I think this is the most beautiful color cover art ever. The like texture of the like tile effect and the like, it feels like you should be able to move them around to match up the shapes. I just think it's gorgeous. The only thing about the packaging I would change is this wasted space for the names, because we don't have that the individual shades have names here. We have that the rows have names. So Scarlet, Rosé or Rose, Sage and Honey. And I think all those names make a lot of sense. I think a lot of people weren't interested in this palette because people are kind of burnt out on pinks and rosy tones. I live for pinks and rosy tones, so these top 2 rows are my absolute jam. I would have bought them if they were individual quads. Like I really am into them. The only shades in here that I'm not as into are the shades that look like they would go with the eyeshadow I'm wearing right now. Mostly because if I'm going for colour, I'm generally going for a more monochromatic look. So the idea of this palette is that you would use the row all together, or you would use the quads all together like this. Obviously you can mix and match, you can do whatever you want, but like it's kind of helping you come up with ideas. But just personally, I wouldn't really use these shades with most of the shades that are in here. I would use these shades with like a lighter shimmer, maybe even a pink shimmer. But what I really want with these shades is a blue-green shimmer. So like what I've got on today. So that's the only thing for me in this palette that isn't perfect. But like these, the honey row being like honey toned, like kind of mustardy toned, not just being like kind of reddy, warm browns in that way, is I think gorgeous and really just a little bit different than a lot of other palettes. Obviously the reds and pinks I talked about already, and these like cool tone browns, and then this quad is lovely. So yeah, I love this palette, I love this colour story, I love the concept of the rows and the quads. Not, you can do whatever you want, but I like being given a few ideas to assist me. And just personally, I would add in a blue shimmer to go with the blue mattes. But yeah, other than that, love it. And I love the big mirror. And generally, I think Nabla has an amazing formula. I think their shimmers are really interesting, and they often have like diverse formulae in the one palette. So yeah, this palette wasn't the biggest hit, but I just think it's not the colour story for everyone. But if you're into your purples, not purples, the opposite, not the opposite, but the other one, your pinks and your rosy things, then I think this colour story is very much worth looking at. And with the cover art, I think it's very clear that it's a lot of rosy tones. Like this isn't pretending to be something else. So yeah, those are all 13 of the questions that I think are correct for this tag. If you would like to do this video, consider yourself tagged. If you would like to tell me your answer to any of these questions down in the comments below, alternatively, please go ahead and do that. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!